Hello and welcome to your Thursday episode of Contested. We'll be starting off with popping off from Avast and then talking about who is the best team in the APAC region.
And of course, when we have to know the best team in the APAC region, we have to know the best team in an A, and maybe take a look at some of the experimental changes and the Genji nerfs that went live, along with just an overview of the meta for this upcoming weekend.
All that and more from today's episode of Contested. I'm Jane, this is Avast, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back. We are live and coming to you from the Frontier Communications Studio. So welcome to everybody watching live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And to those of you guys watching the pre-recorded version, podcast, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, welcome to you. I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Avast, how is my intro?
I think it was so good that we're going to have to just keep
So if I perfected
delivering.
it, means it's your turn to do them now forever.
Well, you haven't perfected it.
That was perfect. Flawless.
I would
Do you
say
know how much
I would
effort
give
I
it-
put into that?
I would say
I never want to do it again.
It's closer to the hand sanitizer of intros, where it's 99.99% effective, you know? But there's still 0.001% that we can get the edge up.
Was it
a
my
little bit
facial
more.
expressions? Did I have a beard hair out of place? What do I need to improve
It's
to
the
get
ma-
that
it's-
last 1/1,000,000th of a
It's
percentage
the
of perfection?
mouthfeel. It's the mouthfeel of intros, you know? It's like wine tasting where like technically no one's actually really an expert. They just kind of just get fooled all the time. So I'm just doing it from sort of a stand of like, I've done it a lot, so obviously
Yeah.
I know what the perfect intro
True.
is.
You are the absolute connoisseur
Yeah.
of contested
Even
TV
though
show
technically
intro.
I wouldn't know the difference between a good intro or a great intro because they're all about the same, realistically.
Well, I suppose we should talk about Overwatch, right?
We should, and we should start that with our popping off clip.
We should,
Presented
Avast.
by Jack in the Box, because this popping off is a meaty one, and I enjoy it a lot. So let's get this one up here. So popping off, presented by Jack in the Box here, and it's gonna be Alarm here on Volskaya, second last, as you might say, versus the Toronto Defiant. And Alarm gets 2 kills right off the bat, playing in this very safe Zenyatta position. And this guy was a monster all weekend, gonna get a third, playing so protected. The peel is great for Alarm too because the fusion, they know. Alarm is powerful, he is muscular, he is vascular. And he's already gotten 3, has the trance available, and he's been playing such a great position too. And why this is such a good pop and off clip is because Alarm, not only is he getting the perfect peel, he's just using that peel to hit every shot possible. The amount of damage and the amount of frags that Alarm gets is incredible. He's gonna get another right here too. He just is unstoppable. Gonna pick up 1 more, and that's like 5 kills for Alarm, following with the trance to keep everyone alive too. And that's just a good old Zenyatta play. You love to see it. It ended up with a cap.
I must complain that you called him muscular and vascular when he's playing Zenyatta. But other than that, you know, I think
more of an IRL, you know, that's just his avatar.
Yeah, who was it? Did you see the photo of the one guy, like Korean Contenders guy, who posted a picture? Or was it like some people like posted their workout and they were like, they're straight out to Tekken.
I mean, Jake was pretty shredded. Jake's been doing a bunch of yoga and stuff, and like, but Jake has always been lean. He's always been a lean, which I feel like, you know, depends on what your goal is. Do you want to be a muscle-bound freak, or do you want to be just a lean and shredded type? So, and yoga and pescatarianism, which he sort of
Pescatarianism.
he does that sometimes. He sort of alternates on and off, you know. But he'll tell you about it because Jake loves to tell you about things.
I prefer
that
the
he does.
Zoroastrian diet, not the pescatarian.
Is that so? Is that so? You love an ancient Persian religion?
Well, I didn't think you'd get that, but
Oh, of course.
Zoroastrianism, very familiar
Yeah.
with it.
I am very familiar
with their
it.
diet.
Xerxes and me, we're tight. I know it all. What can I say?
Well, yeah, it is kind of cheating to pick alarm popping off moment
Yeah.
because he kind of pops off all the time. I'm also super disappointed that you didn't actually go with the quad melee kill from
Yeah,
Jacksaw.
I felt like it was not. I felt like in the context of the Houston Outlaws match in general and the context of that clip, it just wasn't really a popping off moment when he finished off a bunch of very low people with melee. It wasn't bad.
They go pop, pop, pop. It's popping off.
I mean, it wasn't bad, right? It wasn't bad. I just felt like I wanted to add something where there was a little bit more meat to it.
You ever get that feeling where you just did something on stream that is immediately going to become a GIF?
Never.
I just had that moment.
I have never once been clipped. I have never once been made fun of. I have always been seen as a model of seriousness and, sort of that Spartan aesthetic. So, moving on. Moving on
to the patch notes, which came out actually just before the show, about 3 hours and 14 minutes ago. I'm making that number up. Don't bother
That's actually
checking.
close.
It's not that far off,
Yeah.
but it's definitely
It was
made up.
3 hours-ish,
I mean, it
I
wasn't
think.
a random guess. It was an educated guess, but it's still a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You want
for
to tell
sure.
what I'm guessing about?
It's going to be the experimental changes. And also some of the Genji nerfs that went live as well. I was looking forward to those. It's always a good time to when Genji players get nerfed.
Yeah.
Because something about Genji player sadness.
No.
I lap up the tears like a dog at the bowl. I'm like,
that's so mean.
I mean, I can't help it.
Like, if there's going to be something broken, at least the thing that was broken was super flashy and fun to watch. I'm sad that it went away faster than the Omnic Crisis. But
you can be sad, but I just...
Don't worry, Arissa's still strong and coming back this weekend with patch notes. I have to say,
I'm very tired of... I'm just... Flex DPS players, they've lived a charmed life throughout most of Overwatch.
They have. This is very true.
I just can't help but feel... I can't feel sad for them, really, ever. I just can't. I can't do it. They've all been so spoiled. It's really... I just can't do it. They're essentially just the trust fund babies of Overwatch. And
do you feel sad for main tanks, or do you just make fun of them at this point?
I feel sad for main tanks and main supports. And sometimes flex supports. And
hits can deep DPS.
Pretty much everyone other than Flex DPS. Yeah, everyone.
So you are no tears shed over this Genji.
No tears. I mean, to be fair, I do think that everyone loves Genji.
Yeah.
Everyone loves it, but it's kind of ridiculous how strong he was.
Yes.
But at the professional level, it didn't change much.
They still could have tried to nerf him in other ways.
Yeah.
It's very clear. I think the majority of people who were going the majority of centrist people who were yes, it's a bit strong, but, we shouldn't revert it. The very clear change that you needed to do was just make sure that he charged his ultimate a bit slower.
A little bit slower.
That would have been a perfectly reasonable change. But
it's weird to me. I mean, it's obviously this is coming from a place where the devs are hearing the cries of some of the lower tiers too, and ranked, because people in ranked have been complaining, especially about how strong Genji is, because it's like how when Widow was meta at times, where or double sniper was meta, and if you just had the worst double snipers, you just lost, and if you had just an absolutely cracked out Genji, you just win in ranked a lot of the times, and it's tough to deal with it, especially when historically everyone in ranked is really bad at peeling for backline in particular. Yeah. And now Genji is a monster that feasts upon your flesh.
Maybe that's just kind of a misunderstanding of how games, especially multiplayer games, work. At some point you have some role, some character, whether it's kind of two people working together or a solo person that is the carry. And everyone else's real job is to support that person. But if your carry sucks, then well, it doesn't matter how much good your support is. The other characters are force multipliers. Even if you're a 200% force multiplier on 0, congrats, you still suck.
It's just an Overwatch. I think it's just a very Overwatch thing.
It's a very casual.
It's tough. It's tough to get, and that's why there's such a disparity at times between the professional and the ranked level, because just the effectiveness of certain heroes is just because Genji, even with these buffs, was not an all-powerful god in an Overwatch.
Absolutely not.
You could 100% deal with Genjis when you had really good support players.
Who wrote the tweet where it was people always ask me how to counter Genji, and it's just the complete list.
It's Linkser. It was Linkser. Linkser made an MS Paint guide.
Yeah,
but it's just.
Have you considered doing any of these things?
It's just the flowchart. It's Overwatch flowchart. I used to have a funny joke that I used a lot last season of the flowchart Overwatch with goats, and it's the same way with Genji. It's drop lamp. Flail Genji.
I mean, some flowcharts are more complicated than the other, but Overwatch is always flowchart.
Yeah, it's always flowchart in a way, but there's plenty of ways where Genji was countered at the Overwatch League level, but it just, in ranked, people aren't nearly as good.
No, they're not.
When a hero's that strong, it's hard, but it was really not the solution to nerf him, make him worse than the neutral, because that's always why Genji's been really bad, is that he's been bad in neutral. Now he's finally pretty good in neutral. So maybe just nerf his ult rate.
Yeah, but no, we're going back to old Genji, and then they did make some comment about there being an experimental card about double shield coming out pretty quickly. We have no information about that yet, but at least they are looking at double shields. So
hopefully it gets changed, because all the main tank players are back to Twitter.
Fusions is about to defenestrate himself.
Smurf was I just hate it. And the crazy part too is that Smurf is considered one of the best Orissas in Overwatch League, especially in an A.
Yeah.
And so it's wild that someone that's just so good at Orissa is just I hate this character. I don't want to play this hero anymore.
Don't blame him.
I don't blame him, right? Yeah, I don't. But it's just it's unfortunate that, because now we've hit GOAT's territory with double shield now, pretty much, in terms of the length. Haven't we? About a year?
There's no way we're at GOAT's length yet.
I think we're almost there. No joke. I think we're almost there, because this double shield started
When was Sigma released?
I'm pretty sure we're about there.
Sigma release Overwatch. It was released July 23rd. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's double shield meta didn't happen for
It didn't happen right away.
Yeah,
there's a lagging, but I'm saying we're almost there.
Yeah, we are getting
there. And I find it highly unlikely that we are not going to get there, because that's just Overwatch, baby. That's Overwatch, baby.
That's Overwatch, baby. Let's go. Yeah, okay.
We don't move. We don't change our metas. We're sort of more of a staying on one meta for a year at a time type of. I mean, we move at a galactic scale. in terms of our of balance at times. And it's just so crazy that it just takes so long to get things done. When I look at other games, you know, it's just crazy to me. I feel like we've beaten this dead horse many a times.
I not just us, the entire community has beaten
there's
this
really not much else
repeatedly.
to say, but it's just
I mean,
come on.
You can't even use the COVID excuse either because it's like the same glacial pace that it's always been, even pre-COVID. You know, maybe it's like a balancing where they're like, oh, we're going to increase the pace. And
it looked like
COVID
they were sort of there for in the beginning when they announced those changes. They were sort of like, okay, here's a bunch of changes, but then they've just like kaput, gone, disappeared. Such is life.
But main tank players complaining about playing Orisa pretty much guarantees that the meta that we're going to see going into the end of the Countdown Cup is going to be probably Orisa double shield.
Yeah, I mean, if I would say this is probably the closest you can get to insider meta trading that you could when all the main tank players are like, I hate Orisa, and it's like, I wonder
what they're playing in scrims.
What could it be now that Orisa's unbanned?
What could be the connecting link between all of these main tanks suddenly complaining about Orisa? Potentially, could they be playing Orisa in scrims? Is this a possibility?
It's a possibility.
I mean, it's a pretty far out there theory, but
I have to say we have to get our leading market Scrimbucks analyst out on the floor to hopefully find that one out. But I have to say more than likely Orisa's back, Double Shield is back because it's just the best tank combo.
Yeah. So I think probably the biggest team that's going to be affected by this is, of course, the Kings of Wrecking Ball, Chengdu Hunters, and Ame. So where are they going to be? Because they had some pretty fantastic results. We spun the Wheel of Chengdu, and the Wheel of Chengdu has predicted them to win the Countdown Cup.
And for Amon to learn a new hero.
So far, good predictions. But going into this, as we try to decide who we think the number one team in the APAC division is, what are your standings? What are your feelings on the Chengdu Hunters?
You know, it's really tough, honestly, because Chengdu has looked really, really good, and it's clear that they're playing to their strengths recently. And if you have like the best ball player in the world, you can make things work if you build around it. But it just seems almost impossible for this to be the option to because you have to play so perfectly versus Double Shield when you're playing ball.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder now that we're locked into like a 2-2-2, as opposed to like Shanghai in Season 2 when they were playing some wackier comps versus goats. I kind of feel like Chengdu, though, if they continue to have the strength to play, they will still be better than Seoul. Can you believe that? I kind of think Chengdu right now might be a better team than Seoul with base.
Seoul was kind of fluctuating. We call them like the coin flip team, where it's like
but this should be their meta coming up. Though.
It should be, yes. But recently they have not been flipping heads at all. It's only been coming up. It's
not looking great. Now it's not. I wouldn't say that Seoul's like 100% like gonna be below Chengdu by any means, but I think it's very possible that Chengdu, if they play their strengths, will not be the worst team.
It's not like this is the first time that they've played Wrecking Ball either, right? And we're seeing such a dramatic improvement on their abilities overall. So, especially with them going back to an Orisa meta sort of thing, it's like Chen as a coach, especially if there's a new culture or new way of adapting and improving, they might, even when they go back to an Orisa composition, really show up on that Orisa comp. It could be a different Chengdu.
And also, technically, Amon was known. Before Overwatch League, there was only two heroes that Amon played, and it was Ball and Orisa.
Yep.
So there is theoretically a small chance, that maybe they actually pull out with something meta under their new coaching staff.
Could be.
But I'll just have to see. I just am feeling so meh on Seoul. But for me, I still think the number one team is likely going to sit in APAC. It'll probably be reclaimed by, honestly, probably Charge again. I think Charge is kind of nasty. Shanghai is really great, but I think Charge, after their latest tournament win, and they've had some downside.
And Charge just this last weekend, they lost to the New York Excelsior.
They did. But I'm thinking Charge will reclaim their glory.
And do you have any reasoning behind that?
My reasoning is I think they're just a bunch of nutter butters. I mean,
by that reasoning, though, New York are even more.
I actually think that Charge's, based off their past performances, Charge's had some problems, I think, without having the ability to play around Double Shield specifically.
Yeah.
Because Krong can play Sigma, great.
Yes.
But I do think that being able to put Rio back on the Orisa and play around that Double Shield, they can operate extremely well. It's clear based off their past performances that it's a meta that they did well with before. I do think that this is where they start to shine a bit more because I actually do think that Charge at their peak have a far better synergy than almost every team in APAC.
Now, the Guangzhou Charge, of course, they won the Summer Showdown. Have we had any meta changes that are going to stick?
Not real. I mean, we've had some Genji changes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the Genji changes are kind of neutral in a way for Overwatch League, because sure, Genji was really strong in the neutral game, but if you're a really good Genji, I don't think it will change. It might change that much. It depends on how teams want to feel. If the meta inertia carries through, right? Like, how do teams feel about Genji going into it? Do teams feel that Genji is suddenly going to be non-viable because of the Genji changes? Are these patches going to be? Is it going to be live? Actually, do we even know if this new patch is going to be live?
I mean, I don't think they ever put out.
Generally, they sync it to where it goes in, but I'm pretty sure it will be. I think.
We don't know.
I think it will. I'm trying to remember, but I do feel that New York is on the resurgence. They might have some, with Bianca, they could have some benefits. But I think also that...
Yeah, I mean, New York is kind of a weird one. It's like, yes, even myself, I've been betting on them really dramatically improving, and we saw, a pretty dramatic improvement in a 3-0 against the Guangzhou Charge. But it was also a very uncharacteristic change. This is the first time that they played Bianca. We don't really know why. Of course, we don't have any kind of internal statements or knowledge or anything like that. And then Mono, again, saw a lot of success on the Wrecking Ball. So they're obviously a team that has tried to be more proactive, more aggressive. They failed miserably.
Which I think they needed Bianca to do so.
Yeah. So the question is, like, it's one game, a trend, it is not, sort of thing. So
it really just depends on when the nerfs go live. If the nerfs don't go live, I think Charge is the best team in APAC. If the nerfs don't make it to patch in time, then I think Charge probably goes back to being the best team in APAC, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
If the nerfs goes live and Genji gets removed from the pool again, there is a chance that Shanghai reclaims their throne. In my perspective, I still don't see New York being the best team in APAC currently. They just don't have enough historical success. Sure, they're on the rise, but I mean, I have to say that, like, I don't think that, for me, looking at New York's performance, I can really see them overtaking Charge or Shanghai in the tournament. I just can't see it happening. So it really is contingent upon, do the nerfs go live or not? Are we playing with Genji nerfs? Because Charge has shown with the Genji buffs and with double shield, they, in my opinion, I think they're the best team in APAC.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think that that's the correct statement. New York has, I suppose, the chance of actually showing something in the playoffs themselves. But, I think with the pools and with the recent changes they've had, it's not enough to look at one game and be like, it's a new era for the New York Excelsior. It's not. They had finally some promising results that were promised to fans and observers weeks ago, probably 4 weeks ago by this point. So they finally had like one successful game. It was in a meta that's not going to be seen anymore. We're going back to a meta that the Guangzhou Charge have been proven successful in. However, I think that when we're saying about the Guangzhou Charge winning against the Shanghai Dragons, I think that, in the Summer Showdown, it was a 7-game series. It was close. So, this is not going to be a 3-0. It's not going to be a 4-0.
No. I just feel like Charge is just, I really do believe when they have the fragging potential is like, because for me, Shanghai to me feels like a team that has a lot of really, really good players, obviously, but their coordination is on average stronger than most teams in APAC. But when I look at Charge, I see a team that's not only pretty coordinated, but also when they're on their like real meta heroes, when they can put Eileen on that Genji and he just like pops off, I think that they're at a real chance to just, and their synergy was good. And Shu was just, oh my God, Shu was so good.
Yeah.
Shu was so good. And Char has also had a resurgence. Char has done much better this year. I do think that Charge should be able to come out on top again if it's a very similar meta to what it was last time. That's my particular feeling. I don't know. Shanghai could adjust. They could make some changes. They could learn how to play around DM better specifically, because a lot of people, there was an era like DM was the problem. DM wasn't the problem. They just weren't playing around DM very well, and they weren't executing with the Widow very well. But it is extremely possible that Shanghai could go back once again with some good changes if we're still in a similar meta to being the best team. But I just feel confident in Charge when Genji is meta. When Genji is meta, especially buff Genji, then I think Charge are the best team in APAC.
Okay, so we've got that figured out for the APAC region. Moving on to the North American region, as we talked either last episode or last week, we definitely think that the top contenders for like the best in NA is between the Paris Eternal, the Philadelphia Fusion, and the San Francisco Spark. So going into this,
I do love the San Francisco Spark.
Words?
They sort of, but to be fair, technically there isn't a connection there because Architect did just go to the Spark from the Shock. So
and you get shocked by Sparks.
Your synapses are kind of just like fried like mine.
Yeah, they're
at
just
times.
crossed over.
They mix.
That would be a super team. Let's just merge those two.
Just merge them?
Yeah.
What if we just put Architect on Shock? That'd be crazy.
Imagine how good they'd be.
What? What a crazy thing that could be.
What an amazing crossover.
Well, here, I want you to start this time. How are you feeling for what's looking to be the strongest team in NA?
I still think that the San Francisco Shock have it.
Think so?
The Philadelphia Fusion, they're I still don't feel like they're quite at their potential. They're a great team. They're so good. But they almost got reverse swept. Or sorry, they did the reverse sweep here after dropping 2 maps to the Gladiators, of all things here.
Yeah.
So they have some weaknesses. They still have the ability to adapt. And I mean, Carpe absolutely just clutching so hard on Li Zhang. Like, there are still a lot of things where they're relying on, Carpe and even like other players on the teams, their superstar potential. Like, if they really do need to get to the level, they need to stop relying on these pop-offs and have those be the cherry on top.
Now, that was a different Shock, right? That was a different Shock, because Shock, when they got, if you're talking, because you said Shock getting, like,
no,
when they
Fusion. Am I still...
Yeah, you might be mixing them a little bit.
My brain is just, like, blended.
Because Shock didn't have a Genji
Philadelphia
player
Fusion
then.
in Los Angeles Gladiators.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
yes.
Because Carpe is also on the Fusion, not the Shark.
Correct.
The Shark! Oh, my God! I give up.
He's something, the heat is affecting him.
The
It's hitting
San
him
Francisco
hard.
Shark now.
I was about to say, like, there's a lot of narratives here, but I feel like I'm missing some things in this. But
that used to happen all the time on, like, when I was on Twitch streaming, is that, like, I would just, in my brain, I was explaining something really fluidly, and then it was just like I'd switch one player or one team. I remember the first time that I was on the whatever Monte Cristo's show is, and I switched.
Which one? Was it Oversight?
Yeah, Oversight.
Yeah.
And I switched Space and Super as players. And Monty, being the really nice guy he was, didn't point out the mistake and just tried to roll with it. But, like, none of my arguments or thoughts made sense at all. That was very embarrassing.
I think that's that's honestly just like a streaming thing, because streaming, you don't have time to formulate your thoughts ever. So you're just doing a continuous, like, just stream of consciousness, and then it just, like, gets mixed. People Papega me all the time. There's, like, shimmering capital Papega Avast. I cannot believe.
You try and stream of consciousness for like 7 hours straight.
Obviously, you're gonna mix up things at times, but I do feel for Shock. So you're still saying Shock number 1 in A.
Shark.
The Shark.
Spark.
The Spark. You're still feeling Shock's number 1 in A then. That's your reasoning.
Yes.
I
didn't get to Paris. Paris is developing. They definitely have a potential. Like, they've got Hanbin, they got Fielder, they got Sparkle. I think that all 3 of those are in contention for some sort of prize at the end of the year. And they're, like, really pushing it. They're the same sort of team. They're the same sort of situation that I'm looking at, where you're looking at it with the Guangzhou Charge, making sure I get that name right.
There we go.
Where, especially if Genji stays meta and stay powerful, like Sparkle being there is, I still don't think that the Shock...
Okay.
I almost said Spark again.
Yeah.
Still have a Genji player on the level of Sparkle.
Yeah, I mean, with Tayo, I think
he's unproven.
And also, like, he hasn't come out for me and been impressive. He's been good, but not impressive. It was very different than when I watched EQO at, like, peak Genji, or when I was watching Sparkle play peak Genji, or even Kevster in moments when Kevster was popping off for Glads. I was like, this is, like, a really good mechanical player. And so far, Tayo has not... Is it Tayo or Teo? I always forget. I feel like I was saying it right before.
Yeah, we never figured it out. So
no, I was saying it right on my stream, and then I've forgotten it. My brain has also... It's like a yawn. It's like you yawn, but it's my brain, and it's, like, gone to me. So the point here is, I think it's
apparently
Tayo.
Stupidity is contagious. Explains
it's
a
Tayo.
lot about what goes on in
there
the
we
studio.
go. I remembered. It's Tayo. But the point is...
Teo?
No, it's Tayo.
Teo.
Stop what you're doing.
Are you telling me it's jalapeno or jalapeno?
Well, that one's pretty obvious.
It's jalapeno.
Yeah, obviously. Definitely so. But the purpose being, I don't think Shock is going to have that explosiveness they need to be the best, in my opinion. I think
you
Paris,
don't think they do?
I think Paris is still going to be the best team in an A with this meta.
Yeah?
Yep, I do. I
think
really
it's
do.
definitely a possibility.
I think that the Church of Krusty is crowded.
See, the problem is that, like, I really don't see Shock making the same mistake twice.
I would say that now they have a real Genji player.
Yeah.
It changes up things a lot. But I personally believe that Paris themselves are not going to stay still either.
No.
Because it's like assuming, like, Shock, they can change.
Yeah. I definitely, like, assuming the brackets work the way that the world intends, I definitely would predict a Paris versus San Francisco final. Yeah. I think that Fusion is close, but I definitely think that they're, like, very solidly the 3rd best team.
It really just depends on how well they perform with Tayo and Genji.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of their team, for sure, top 3, 100%. They almost made it to the grand finals, the last one, without a Genji player.
Yep.
So,
which is crazy.
Which is nuts. So on that merit alone, I don't think you can argue anything for me, at least, other than top 2. I think they're a top 2 team in an A. But I really do believe that if Genji still remains meta, and it is unnerfed Genji, Paris is the better team. I think they know how to play around it perfectly. It's like the ideal meta for them. They've also still evolved their comps a bit.
Yep.
They've been seeing some more integration of Noisebot if they ever wanted to use him, though it's very unlikely unless we go back to the double shield meta. And I mean, at this point, Fielder at this point is just both a saltwater and a freshwater fish in terms of ping. Because he knows how to operate entirely on the high ping environment to support. So I kind of think that Paris is perfectly adapted to that meta. And I find it extremely... And also, Hanbin is so good. Hanbin is so good. It's actually disgusting how good of a Sigma Hanbin is. Like, it's probably the only off-tank in NA currently that, like, on Sigma at times will just, like, outperform really just everyone else. It
Counterpoint Gargoyle?
No.
No.
I honestly think Hanbin is the best Sigma in NA.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gargoyle, though, do we want to talk about why Florida Mayhem is currently the worst team in NA?
I don't think Florida.
Oh,
Mayhem's
hey,
the worst.
Albert.
Albert here?
I didn't see you in chat, Albert.
Albert, he came to check on his investment because he sent me a package in the mail. And I did receive it, by the way, Albert. I just haven't opened it yet. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming that it's merchandise, but I don't know what else. It could be a love letter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You were just leaving. I was going to ask you if you had an argument for why the Florida Mayhem should be a top 3 team, since we weren't even.
You're gonna ask Albert.
It's going to be a midstream interview. Just give us your best talking point, reason, hashtag justification as to why Florida Mayhem should be a top 3 team.
My bribe has not gotten through to Avast. No, your bribe has not gotten through to me yet. It hasn't swayed me. As much as I love the Mayhem and Gargoyle,
unbribable.
I will not. I can't put them in top 3.
No,
I can't. I think the Mayhem's going to be good.
Yeah.
Especially as long as they make sure not to make the mistake of not playing Yaki Genji. But if that is the meta.
The mistake of playing Yaki Genji?
Not making the mistake of
okay. I was going to be like,
Yaki.
hold up
There's
here.
2 knots in there.
Yeah.
It's like a loop. It's like a sailor's
Stupidity
knotted.
is contagious.
Yeah,
it's
really
real
is.
bad.
I
wish
really,
hand sanitizer worked for it. There's been some. Well, just watch the shellacking of Glads. There's been some changes in
I
form.
don't care if you shellac Glads myself. I don't. I'm not feeling big on that. Honestly, I have to say, Gladiators, they had one good showing where Fusion forgot how to. Fusion were just like not playing Overwatch very well. They didn't know how they wanted to run their backline versus Glads, and then Gladiators came back out and just papeged everywhere. And like they totally forgot.
Those are words.
They totally forgot how to use ults. They were looking really bad. Like they still had mechanical pop off, but it just didn't look at the level that you needed for a top 5 team at all. So I'm feeling Mayhem as a top 5 team in NA, but I am not feeling Mayhem to break very far into the run unless they have a really, really good performance and Albert has given them their Wheaties of sorts. I'm not feeling it. I'm just not. I think that Paris is the best team in NA if it's a Genji meta, followed shortly by Shock and then probably Fusion. There's some miracle runs. There could be some miracle out on the ice type of things, but
so
that's the case.
Overall, we're predicting Guangzhou Charge and a Shanghai Dragons final with a Charge slightly edged out in the finals.
Yes,
and then
it's obviously this is all contingent upon old unnerfed Genji.
Yeah,
everything, all of our predictions here.
And then on the North American side, we're looking at Paris Eternal and the San Francisco Shock in the final, with Paris having the slight advantage. So, with that said, who are our dark horses?
Who? Dark horses.
London Spitfire?
So,
didn't we have London Spitfire?
We did have London Spitfire as a dark horse for last time. I actually think this is going to sound crazy.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to throw this one out here.
If you say Seoul, I'm walking out of the studio.
No, I'm not going to say Seoul. My dark horse for APAC. Wait, I'm gonna process. I'm gonna process a little bit. I'm
gonna dance while Avast figures out his argument.
I'm thinking. Wait, I'm thinking.
Take your time. I'm entertaining them. Are you entertaining, chat? Okay, we're good.
I finished processing. My dark horse, if
you say so, I swear to God.
Only if they have hired a magician, a Houdini of sorts on the coaching role, Chengdu.
I respect it.
Chengdu.
I respect it.
I think if Chengdu harness the magic, if they hire some Imagineers and they get on in there and they build, I really think Chengdu could be a dark horse candidate especially if it's under Genji, like all the heroes will align for them. And their off tank player obviously they can still play like with Elsa on the off tank. They can still play Sigma and things like that. It's Amon. He is the linchpin. He is the start. He is the spark He's the one that will get it going. I feel like if Chen can harness whatever primal power is within that man.
Yeah. Chen
Chengdu
stocks
can be-
would just like go through the roof if that
I
happened.
have been a significant Chengdu denier. I have been like, Chengdu.
Imagine not cheering for Chengdu
for
at
the
all
longest-
points in time forever.
Chengdu has been the bottom tier team for APAC for me the entire season and even parts of last season. But technically there was no APAC, but it was all one. But like I have never been huge on Chengdu, but this is the first time ever I'd be like, okay, Chengdu, if you manage to make it work, you have the potential to be a dark horse candidate.
Well, the Wheel of Chengdu did speak, and it did say twice in a row that the Chengdu Hunters would win the Countdown Cup. So, never rule it out as a possibility. But the London Spitfire, I think I'm going to keep them as
That's a safer dark horse.
Yeah, it's a
lot safer dark horse.
It's a gray horse. It's a slightly less dark. But the London Spitfire, they've lost a lot recently, but they've had good results against the Shanghai Dragons and the Guangzhou Charge. And they lost, as I said.
But losing isn't everything.
It's not.
Sometimes it's about how you lose.
Yeah, and you always learn more from defeat.
True.
And they went to Game 5 against Shanghai Dragons. They got one map off the Guangzhou Charge, but it very easily could have gone to map 5 as well. That was a pretty close game. Respectable results from the London Spitfire. And they're the team, they're still, when you're looking at the London Spitfire, they just took their championship roster and they're like, and they started again with rookies. So that they're having these performances and they're still gaining momentum very slowly, but gaining momentum, showing improvements, showing good results. They rolled the dice right on the day. They could win.
They could. I think those are very fair dark horse candidates from us. I've self-assessed us, and I agree that we're pretty right.
And
so
I am assured that chat will agree in that assessment.
Absolutely, they will. They will 100%. So how about for Renee then? Dark horse candidates. Do you want to go first?
See, I didn't prepare one in advance. I just saw the time and knew that we needed more things to talk about. So it's your turn to dance while I come up with an argument.
Is it my turn to dance? Well, a dark horse candidate for myself. So actually, we need to talk. It leans into sort of what matches matter as well, I'd say. But looking at NA, for me, I don't feel confident Glads, don't feel confident Valiant at all. 100% not.
Glad.
People are like, well, Defiant will have a great run because Agility's back on Genji, but Defiant, even with Agility on Genji, they've already gotten slapped before.
Yes.
I don't think anything changes now. I think that the thing about Defiant is that they're never going to be like a top tier team in my eyes. They'll be at best mid table when they're playing really, really well. There's arguments to be made for both the Fuel and the Mayhem, but of the two, I feel much more confident in Mayhem achieving a dark horse run than Fuel currently.
But I feel like Mayhem's too good to really be like a dark horse. They're not that far out of the top.
So you want to go even further outside the realm of top 5 teams currently? Because if we go outside that realm, then I would say no one. I would say there are only 3 really good teams in the NA currently.
Yeah.
And everyone else, I kind of think they're along for the ride.
So,
aside from maybe Mayhem
we
and
talked
Fuel.
about the top 3 team. Who do we think is B tier? We talked about the A tier group. Who is B tier?
B tier, Fuel, Mayhem.
You think Fuel's B tier?
I think Fuel probably is a B tier team right now. No joke. I actually think Fuel.
I've been trying so hard to believe that. I think they're almost there. They're like a C plus team. And we've been hearing about Scrimbucks from them, from legitimate sources, from other good tier teams. Some of the A tier teams have been they've said things that would make you consider Fuel to be an A tier team.
I would swap out perhaps Fuel with
who though?
NA's just so bad. They're just so comparatively to APAC.
It goes. I think that Valiant is worse than Fuel right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
So really, who is B tier? Mayhem. Does it really go Mayhem Fuel?
You could honestly make the argument. That on a good day with the right meta. No, you couldn't actually. I was about to say maybe Defiant.
No.
Maybe Rain.
That's wrong.
The thing is, they're all just so that's the thing. I just can't think. I think teams that exist in NA, and I think top 3 teams. You have Fusion, Paris, Shock, and then you have Mayhem, and then Fuel sometimes will squeak by into there, and the rest of everyone else is so disappointing that they, the old saying, I want them to be the ones to lower me into my grave so they can let me down one last time. That's how I feel about the rest of NA outside of those 4 teams.
Okay, so chat is saying Houston is B tier, first of all.
I don't think so. Don't think so.
No. And the other one is that Valiant aren't bad, it's just the meta. Just a bad meta for them. Is that...
If Genji is not meta, Valiant gets better, I think.
Yeah?
If Genji is not meta, Valiant gets better, yes. I think that's a problem for them currently because it seems they've had a lot of issues with capitalizing on the KSF Genji. They've had some issues.
Yeah.
But also they evolved a bit because they were playing Contested Genji and then trying to play Ashe, and it wasn't really synergistic.
I mean, who has played Genji Ashe in the last 2 weeks? Almost everyone.
Almost everyone, but it wasn't working for them.
No, this is
So
true.
then they tried to switch. They had it success on some maps, but they tried to put Shax in on Tracer because Shax is nutty. And like maybe with the right set of like players in playing that sort of comp, it's better for them in a Genji meta.
Yeah.
But even still, even if it's the right meta for them, I don't see them ever breaking into top 3 ever. I never see it as a dark horse candidate.
That's going to get clipped and shoved back in your face.
If it does, good. I want Valiant to break into top 3. I want
too.
Valiant to have a great run.
I'm
I
cheering
would love for it to. This is never me rooting against some team. This is me just saying I just can't see it. I can't.
So the only other potential team that we could include, and Chad is talking about, is Atlanta Reign.
No,
It's-
I just don't see it either.
It blows my, because like I've been watching Fuel Games, like it blows my, like, it's so close in the APAC region, but there is really, it just feels like there is this massive gulf between the top 3 A-tier teams and the rest of the league. It blows my mind that with how many criticisms I've had about the Fuel, that we're still considering them B-tier.
That's wild to me. It's
wild.
That's why it's like it's just there's the 3 top teams and then Mayhem, and then like there's maybe a team that like can hop in there like the Fuel. Valiant maybe in the right meta. Like, it's just so, the gulf is so wide. I can't see.
It's weird.
There's only one team outside the top 3 that could ever make a run to me, and it's Mayhem.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like a quote unquote dark horse per se, but it's the closest we can get. It's the darkest shade of gray because I literally cannot see a single team in an A ever making a run for a win currently.
I hope we're wrong. That'd be
I
a
can't.
really exciting tournament if we're wrong. But yeah, it's
That's
like,
it. It's only Mayhem. There's top 3 and there's Mayhem, and then the rest of an A has been cast aside, and I do not wish to look upon their faces. It gives me great shame because I just don't
You're just
see it
gonna go
happening.
get Rickrolled at purpose so you don't have to watch the games anymore.
I mean, when it's the games between them, sometimes it can be okay games,
Yeah,
but it's just when
certainly.
they play the top teams, they just get stomped.
Well, tell us if you think we're crazy, chat. But
That can be our mailbag for today.
Who's B tier?
Who is B tier? Who is the closest to maybe make a crazy run in an A? And we can add it on for APAC too.
No,
I
we
feel
don't care about
APAC's a lot
APAC.
harder.
Only an A.
But may
we
as
know
well
you
throw it
guys
on
don't
to
watch
APAC.
APAC games anyway.
Might as well throw it on to APAC too as well. So there's your mailbag chat. Is tell us who do you think are the candidates to go crazy in an A and also in APAC?
Yeah.
Because I literally can't think of a single team other than Mayhem. I just can't.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if Fuel somehow
It's
is
like-
that team,
it's Fuel is
if Fuel does
such
that,
a
then it will be
Like Fuel,
perhaps the
Fuel is
craziest
not
day
kind of the one of the
in
times
Overwatch
where we
history.
just look into the camera and say no. You know, like
It
Fuel
would
is
be
kind of
equivalent
just
to the
like,
run of Envious winning Apex in
Yeah,
2016.
absolutely.
If Fuel were to win the Countdown Cup, this is like Envious winning Apex. I would be like, it's true. This is crazy. Like Angels themselves have taken control of the mouse and keyboard from the Fuel players. That's how miraculous that would be to me. And so Mayhem is the only clear other candidate.
Yeah.
So let us know. That's your responses. Put it in my Discord channel or also in the YouTube chat or the podcast review section or discussion, not review.
One of
discussion.
those. It was a joke, but if you really do want to leave mailbag,
Might as well do it there.
Might as well do it.
Oh, and also we
give
have
us a
the
5-star review while you're at
we
it.
have the contested subreddit and
Yeah,
also the Reddit
Homebound
threads
11.
that get made
Oh,
on
gee.
competitive Overwatch.
Yep.
So that's your mailbag. But I've made my stance clear. I cannot get any clearer at this point.
Crystal.
Can't. Well, what's left for us on the docket? Do I think we have? Do we,
We
have any more?
actually have quite a few submissions from Tuesday's mailbag to
We
read.
do.
Yeah. Did you get any essays or academic papers this time?
That's a great question. Let me check.
Well, in the meantime, we did have a submission from Dirtmaster that was just filled with lies, honestly.
They're filled with lies.
He says, I can personally confirm that Norway actually does exist.
Oh.
Lies. Yeah. I've lived here all my life. We're kind of hanging out at the top of Europe doing our own thing. We're best buds with Sweden and Denmark while at the same time hating their guts. I'd like you to stop lying to me, Dirtmaster. You know, this is a broadcast and we are the arbiters of truth here at Contested. So stop trying to spread your fake news.
Wow. You don't, Dirt Master. Don't know what to tell you. Well, do you want? Should I bring the next? Well, this next one is actually inspirational. This comes from Caden in my Discord. And Caden, have you ever seen that? You ever heard of that movie called like Pi or whatever? It's like the
The
mathematician.
chances us knowing the
It's
same
like the
movie,
mathematician that finds the number, like pretty much finds out that pi is like the answer to everything, and he goes crazy. And it's
What?
No? Okay, I think it's called pi. But the purpose here, that's besides the point.
What?
So Caden has found this in response to the Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu will go, because our question was, is Chengdu still good after the meta shift? And Katie says, Chengdu will go on a miraculous streak to win the grand finals of Overwatch League 2020. If you look at the maths, the losses of the Hunters are in a very obvious pattern. 2 in plus 1. Where in is the number of win streaks the Hunters have had. i.e. their loss streaks have been 1, 3, 5, and 7. Looking at this pattern, you might be able to assume, well, doesn't that mean the Hunters lose the next 9 games? The thing is, the Hunters have completed all of their regular season games, which is true. There aren't 9 games left. Mathematically, this formula would fail, meaning the Hunters cannot lose. They have broken outside the bounds of what we understand mathematically. They are the theory of relativity of Overwatch. Or actually, they're closer, if anything, they're closer to like light. Is light a particle? Is it a wave? Can the Hunters lose? Think about that one. So meaning that, yes, they do think the Hunters will be good outside of the meta because they have mathematically broken their chains. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Can't disagree? Can't find any proofs against it?
No, it's indisputable truth. I just got speechless at the rigor in the proof that was demonstrated.
They must have gotten, it's been many a sleepless night in the laboratory over there just like with the chalk, like they came that
going
one.
all beautiful mind on us. All right, well, if he's right, he's getting VIP.
We also have a more serious opinion if you don't include that one too.
That wasn't serious?
I mean, I think it's serious, but
are you going to insult that man's life
I would say it's
for the pursuit of knowledge?
In the way of
pursuit of knowledge.
Like a mad scientist is serious, you know? It's like...
That's also insulting? We prefer frustrated scientist?
Frustrated scientist. Well, booty-bothered scientist, whatever you might want to call it. So, but creative_name in Discord said, I believe the addition of Chin in this extra confidence that Chengdu will do better overall, but they're still going to be worse in APAC. Chengdu got a perfect meta, where just so happened the best comp happened to be best heroes for every player in their starting 6. But overall, everything outside of that meta, the Hunters are awful.
Not going to disagree. All right, I got another one from ES Moriarty. No, that was right, from YouTube. Says, Chengdu is only strong when they build around the Wrecking Ball. With Orisa back, Wrecking Ball is very sad. And it's not just Orisa back, it's also Mei. Mei is also returning. Very sad with Halt, Rock, Bash, etc. Ameng will be a sad ball. Of course, the Wheel of Chengdu said that Ameng was going to be learning new heroes.
Yes.
So,
and we also just got mathematical proof.
We did. So this man is behind the times. This comment obviously comes pre-publication of the Avast paper.
Technically, it's not really my paper.
You're co-authoring it? You're just co-authoring it.
I would say, if anything, I'm the publisher.
You're like the thesis advisor.
I would say
I'm
the publisher.
Co-sign it if you're the thesis advisor.
No, I'm the publisher.
You're the publisher?
I didn't do really any of the work. I'm just like going to put it in my paper and just say I'm the publisher. I'm like, I am the science of Overwatch.
One of these days, we're going to stop joking about it and just make an esports journal?
Yeah.
Or wait, you want it to be an almanac.
It's the almanac,
esports almanac, just because Vast wants it to be called an almanac.
I think that would be
We should publish it in a codex, not a book, a codex, because it just sounds
codex.
Yeah.
Well, so then what's it called? A codex or an almanac?
No, it's an almanac in codex form.
I didn't know that was a difference. What's a codex?
A codex is just a book. Like, they're the two forms of original publishing.
So is an almanac not a book of sorts in this case? Or?
Yeah, we're...
What? Does it...
One of those words.
So I feel like this has been a natural progression.
This is eventually just going to become an etymology stream.
You have invented esports, but then I have joined, and together we can invent esports journalism. Like we can... esports publishing.
Yes. You were the esports publisher, and I'm the esports inventor.
Exactly so.
It's like magical girls.
The pirate code of esports. Maybe. Wait, did we already talk about whatever point you're about to bring up?
Nope.
Okay, well let's do that first.
All right, we got another submission. This one's actually from Homebound 11 himself.
Okay.
So
the OG.
He put this on Reddit, and he said Chengdu lucked out on qualifying. They got 3 hero pool qualifier matches against one opponent who some claim is below them. Hangzhou Spark at 7, Chengdu Hunters at 6, and narrowly beat their other two opponents in 5-game sets. Had New York not boomed themselves on Numbani, we have a 2-1 team in mid-pack and potentially an entire region of the league playing something different. If we go along that Chengdu Hunters brought about the meta in APAC. I think I misread that, but their only saving grace is that if they can secure first place and the bye. Because of the bracket setup, they would play the winner of 4th versus 5th, 6th, 7th. If you get an easier semifinal versus Seoul or London, you could have a Chengdu Hunter Shanghai Dragons APAC finals. However, are they really able to make a win? Highly unlikely.
Well, you never know with the formula that was just proposed. You never know these days. That's something we never touched on too either. Is like we sort of were supposed to go over like the seedings a bit.
Yeah, we didn't
during
even
today's
touch
episode,
seedings.
and we didn't really touch this. Like I had them open in front of me, but realistically, almost every match kind of can determine the seeding. Like honestly, all the matches upcoming this weekend can change the seedings a bit, especially for like the top teams in an A because they're all like 3-0 or 2-0 with like a +9, +8, and a +4 between Eternal, Shock, and Fusion. Like. It can get wacky. It can get really wacky this weekend. And I think the only way to condense it in a fashion is in an if-else statement for us coders out there.
Wow, that's some really intense programming knowledge.
Yeah, Solomon's going to love this one. So if... I'm not going to actually put in proper notation either. So if Genji is unnerved, Eternal wins and Charge wins. Else... Shanghai wins and Shock wins.
I don't understand that because I'm not a programmer.
Set win to 0, set win to 1.
Yeah, you've lost
if
me.
Win
I am not a
equal
developer.
1, Shock, whatever.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
It's been a while
there's
since
some
I've been
developers
coding.
in chat that can translate what that's supposed to mean to us English-speaking
It's been a
folk.
while since I've coded actually, so I'm sure there's supposed to be some semicolons in there, some parentheses, there's all sorts of stuff. Like put your notation in the side, blah, 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 but whichever. I'm not
One of those.
It is what it is. Well, there it is. That's my thoughts.
Yep.
Everything matters. It's all going to get wacky this weekend. Chengdu's my dark horse. Mayhem is sort of my dark horse for an A. And we're going to have to see if Genji's nerfed or not nerfed.
Yeah. And then the question that we had for you guys to be answered next Tuesday was, what were we asking?
Dark horse candidates.
Dark horse candidates for North America.
And APAC.
And APAC.
And
Fine.
APAC.
You want to?
Yeah, we have to throw them. We're going to throw them both
Do we
on
have
there.
to?
We do.
We do?
We do.
Okay, we do. Well, I opened, you close.
Okay. Well, answer that mailbag below that we talked about earlier, who your candidates to win in an A or an APAC might be. And also, you can caveat it if you want to have, like, if Genji's nerfed or unnerfed, things like that. Put them in my Discord. Put them in the Contested Mailbag subreddit or in the YouTube comments when you go check them out there on the YouTube vid on Envytv. I am Avast. This is Jayne, and this has been Contested.